So, during the CitizenCon Planet demo version 2, we were introduced to a group that Chris Roberts referred to as the Sand Nomads. When we first met them, they had set up an ambush using the Javelin escape pod distress beacons to lure the player to the planet and proceed to attack. Well, today, using the evidence of what we have seen of these people, we shall delve further into what and who they could be. Please bear in mind, all of the information we have is all based on a scripted gameplay demo, so they may be out of context and added purely for demo purposes. But it's fun to speculate. So, firstly, who are they? If you read up on the lore of the Leir system, you will see that the Leir is known for an isolationist group known as the Outsiders. This group has been left alone by the UEE, which is likely why the system is unclaimed, and I think the term Sand Nomad was primarily used for demo purposes, as this would suggest that they reside only in the desert, which on a planet with multiple biomes would really limit their reach. Now, the next question I had was, are they human? And yes, I personally believe that they are. They look human in structure and build and appear to have hands like humans, but living on a planet with a similar environment and gravity to Earth, then they will have evolved in the same way. However, the voice is very unique and clearly non-human, but it's quite possible that this has been added for demo purposes just to give them more substance. However, there's no reason why they could not have made their own language. In the description of the Leir system, there is also nothing to suggest that they are either human or otherwise, so your guess is as good as mine. Right, are they native? Now this is the one that had me going back and forth the most, mainly due to the many contradictions which cropped up in the demo. And yes, I am probably thinking way too much into this, and yes, it will purely be for demo purposes, but Sand Nomad suggests that they are native. They appear to be in their element, living off the land and salvaging from the downed ships, and dressed perfectly for the environment. However, they are using UEE weapons, and they do appear to have multiple dragonflies, and unless they have managed to capture and salvage a hull transporting hundreds of them, then this suggests they acquired them off-world. If they are the Outsiders group of the Leir system, then they will have access to spacefaring ships, which will explain a lot more. When we see a larger force of them travelling in via Dragonfly, this would also give the indication that they are perhaps coming from a settlement close by, but with their complete disregard for the obvious giant worm lurking under the sand, a group of nomadic settlers would have more respect and knowledge of its presence, suggesting that they are not local. Now, their attire or their clothing choice consists of loose rags of cloth which could have been scavenged and fashioned by themselves, providing a good amount of camouflage, plus with the use of goggles and hoods providing protection against the sandstorms and intense sun, they do seem rather well equipped for such an environment. They also appear to have some form of armour. You can see kind of a skeletal structure on the chest, quite possibly a chest plate, plus what appear to be shoulder pads, also likely salvaged from fallen ships or other unfortunate pilots lured in by distress beacons. Now, we only saw one style of dress code which was repeated between all the nomads. When the main game is released, we will likely see less repetition in attire, but with them all belonging to the same group, a uniform is quite understandable. Now, in terms of behaviour, we have only had one encounter with the Sand Nomads or the Outsiders, but we get the impression that they're extremely aggressive, setting up an ambush and attacking on-site without warning, rather than holding up or capturing. Again, very likely just demo-only behaviour, but it makes you think how far the AI would go with other possible encounters. Now, if this was the Outsider group, however, I expect that if you are not affiliated with the UEE, then perhaps they may not attack you instantly. Traders may have relationships with them to provide supplies unless they have their own insider outsiders. So to conclude, as you may have realised throughout this video, my thoughts of them being the Sand Nomads have shifted to the more likely assumption of them being this isolation group of the Leir system, the Outsiders. Although they were never referred to as the Outsiders, I believe they were part using the system lore to form this impression, but as Chris Roberts mentioned, they were more an example of what could happen in terms of encounters when the persistent universe is ready. Once the game is complete, I'm sure there will be natives to planets, not all of them human, and some of them possibly showing a more friendly outlook to visitors. Something I do know, thanks to Jeremiah Lee, who is one of the employees at CIG, also partly responsible for their design, is that the initial concepts for this group, which we saw on Leir 3, was to be ship dwellers. Inspired by Rey from Star Wars 7, this group of people would roam the barren land, salvaging what they could for creds and residing in derelict ships. That said, the possibility for sand pirates or planet nomads are very likely, and until the planets are more fleshed out, then we can only dream. Anyway, it's always fun to delve further into these lore posts or breaking videos apart. That is my impression of the Sand People. Let me know what your thoughts are. Hit that like button, do subscribe for more content. Follow me on Twitch. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.